Jemaine Monteil Cannon was born on November 13, 1971. Cannon was convicted in 1996 for the killing of 20-year-old Sharonda Clark, who was found stabbed to death in her apartment in Tulsa, Oklahoma, in February 1995. Clark was discovered by police after a relative had reported the young mother missing when she failed to pick up her two young children from school. Cannon had been serving a 15-year sentence for brutally attacking an 18-year-old woman, and escaped from a work center roughly 3 weeks prior to Clark's death. Clark was harboring Cannon in her apartment after he escaped detention. Jemaine Cannon, who had escaped from custody for an unrelated assault conviction, stabbed his girlfriend, Sharonda Clark, to death on February 3, 1995. When she was found more than 24 hours later, police discovered that she had been stabbed 3 times in the throat and once in the center of her chest. After the murder but before his arrest, Cannon spoke to his mother, telling her he had acted in self-defense and that Clark had fallen on the knife after she had attacked him. Although Cannon eventually turned himself in to police, he first called Tulsa police and provided an account of the attack to Detective Tom Foltz. In that conversation, Cannon admitted to stabbing Clark, but claimed that he only did so after she attacked him and he snapped. A jury convicted Cannon of first-degree murder and sentenced him to death. After his conviction, Cannon appealed directly to the OCCA, which rejected all of his claims. He then petitioned that court for post-conviction relief, presenting a number of ineffective assistance of counsel claims concerning both trial and appellate counsel. In 1999, Cannon filed a petition for a writ of habeas corpus in federal district court, which the district court subsequently dismissed. Cannon then appealed to this court. The district court's determination that Cannon's failure to present his ineffective assistance claims on direct appeal, as required by Oklahoma law, meant that he was necessarily procedurally barred from raising those claims on federal habeas review. Based on the record available in Cannon, the cause to believe that trial and appellate counsel were not separate because they both worked for the same federal public defender's office. Nonetheless noted that the district court could hold an evidentiary hearing and allow Oklahoma an opportunity to establish otherwise. On remand, the district court found that trial and appellate counsel were not separate because of their close working and personal relationships. As a result, none of Cannon's ineffective assistance claims were procedurally barred. But the court went on to find that Cannon was not entitled to an evidentiary hearing on the juror contact issue, because he was not diligent in developing the state court record and there were no impediments justifying this failure. Because there was no reliable evidence in the record of any improper juror contacts, the district court determined that both Cannon's ineffective assistance of trial counsel and ineffective assistance of appellate counsel claims based on the alleged improper contacts were meritless. Finally, the district court turned to Cannon's claim that trial counsel provided ineffective assistance concerning his right to testify. After review of the record, the court again found that Cannon had not met his burden of proving that counsel's performance was in any way deficient. Jemaine Monteil Cannon, who killed his girlfriend in Tulsa in 1995, became the 8th Oklahoma death row inmate eligible for an execution date on after the U.S. Supreme Court declined to review his case. Cannon was convicted of first-degree murder in 1996 for stabbing Sharonda Clark to death. At the time of the killing, he was an escapee from custody on an unrelated assault conviction. Cannon claimed that he stabbed Clark out of self-defense and never meant to kill her. Police said that there were no noticeable wounds on Cannon's body when he was arrested. However, The 10th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals last year rejected Cannon's arguments that his public defenders had failed to give him effective representation, in part because they did not investigate properly his claims that witnesses at his trial had interacted with jurors. Cannon appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court, but justices, without comment, declined to hear the appeal. Cannon was exhausted his appeals and is eligible for an execution date. On Thursday the 20th of July 2023, Jemaine Monteil Cannon was executed. When asked if he had any last words, Jemaine Monteil Cannon said, "Yes, I confess with my mouth and believe in my heart that God raised Jesus from the dead. Therefore, I am saved. Thank you." Jemaine Monteil Cannon's last meal consisted of a Verner's ginger ale, chicken breast, sliced brisket, seasoned fries, fried okra, sweet and smoky beans, and cherry pie. Cannon received a lethal injection at 10:01 a.m. Central Daylight Time, and was pronounced dead 12 minutes later. 14 people have died by lethal injection in the United States this year. Cannon is the 9th person to be put to death in Oklahoma since the state resumed executions in October 2021, and is the 2nd inmate to die by lethal injection in the state this year. Jemaine Monteil Cannon was 51 years at the time of his execution. Thank you for watching Death Row.